my name is Thayer Period, and here's how I remade the beat to Do It Again by Cochise, originally produced by Nonbruh and Paradyse. The first thing I put down were these organ chords. Nothing super crazy going on, I just used this Joey Slow preset in Purity. Sounds like this. Then I just ran it through an OTT on 50% just to kind of clean it up a little bit. And just did some EQing again to kind of make it a little nicer, a little cleaner. Next thing I added was this pluck. Here's where the sound design talk starts. I remade this in Serum, and here's how it sounds with no effects. Nothing super crazy going on. We really just have a triangle wave here, which you can get through the basic shapes waveform with 3 voices of unison, and our detune turned down quite a bit to make it kind of wide, but not super wide. Like, it adds like a nice airiness to it without it being super detuned. Then we are just running that through a low pass filter with a little bit of resonance just to give it a slightly kind of like vocally timbre. Using envelope 1 to control both the volume of our oscillator 1 and also the cutoff of our low pass filter. Just giving it a nice kind of plucky motion. That's without the filter. That's with the filter. Then for effects, I just started by adding a soft clipper just to kind of boost it a little bit. Then a chorus just for some additional width. I turned our mix up to 77%, and I didn't really tweak anything else. Left the low pass filter at around 1000 Hertz. As you can hear, it just makes it a bit wider. Then just an EQ with a little bit of a low cut and a high boost, and a reverb just to give it some space. The next thing I added was this kind of like chirpy pluck. Notes aren't exact, but pretty close. Again, huge shocker, I made this in Serum. Here's how that sounds with no effects. Nothing super crazy going on. There's like a couple main elements I'll talk about. We just have 2 sine waves for both of our oscillators, both of them pitched up 2 octaves. Don't know why I did that. They could both be at 0. It would be the same thing. As you can see, we have the level turned down all the way on our oscillator B, and that is because we're using it to FM our first oscillator. Our FM value is around 18%, just to kind of give some more body to that first oscillator, make it a little more present. Then we're just running both of those through a low pass filter. We have a decent amount of resonance, and our cutoff is being modulated by our envelope 1, just again to give it a kind of plucky motion. We are set to mono so that there is no note overlap. Then probably the most interesting thing going on is we have our envelope 2 controlling the coarse pitch of our oscillator A, essentially causing it to do a really quick pitch dive. I talked about this before. It gives a nice kind of like transient like punch to the beginning of our sound. It's good for like making drums. It's good for making like plucks that you want to be kind of sharp, and also like 808s. I'll kind of show you. I'll turn up the decay on this so you can kind of hear it happen in slow motion. As you can see, when I turn that up, it has a very long dive, but as you turn it down, it becomes kind of less noticeable that there's a pitch dive, but you still get that nice kind of punchy motion. And 20 milliseconds was kind of just like the sweet spot on there to not have it sound too pitchy, but like still have that nice punch. Like that kind of, I don't know, chirpy is the best way I can describe it. For effects, I started by adding a delay. And essentially what's going on to keep this kind of clean is we have our envelope 1 controlling the mix of the delay, essentially so that there's no delay while the sound is playing, but it will actually come in after the sound stops playing. As you can see, it starts low at almost like none. Then it goes up as our envelope 1 decays here and the volume of the original sound cuts out. Then I'm just running it through a pretty basic reverb for some atmosphere. And then just an EQ cutting our lows and boosting our high end. Next thing I added was our bass. I'll go over this pretty quickly. Nothing super crazy going on. We are just doing a pretty basic kind of like beefed up sub. We have 2 sine waves for both our oscillators. Our first one is 2 octaves down, and our second one is an octave higher with the level turned all the way down. That is because, as you can probably guess, we are doing a little bit of FM. This FM is, again, adding a little body to our oscillator A, making it a little more present. Here's without the FM. Here's with it. As you can hear, it makes a pretty noticeable difference. We are set to mono, legato, and have portamento enabled just for a little bit of glide. Then we are just running it through a cranked up soft clipper for distortion, just again to boost the absolute shit out of it. Next thing we got going on is our drums. Nothing super crazy, just some Pierre stuff, honestly. But I'll say the one thing worth talking about here is I actually have a peak controller on our kick, and the reason I have that is because we're actually side chaining everything minus, I think, the chirpy pluck to the kick, so that everything has a nice pumping motion and cuts out when the kick is playing. As you can see, I have all of our melodic elements minus that chirpy pluck routed to a sidechain bus with a balance tool, and if you watch this as the kick plays, you'll see a spike here, and then this volume will actually duck. It is a great way to kind of make some room for your kick and kind of add just like a nice bit of groove. Last thing we got going on is our lead. Nothing super crazy. Again, we just have two copies of the same sound. They're both mono, so I had to do kind of two separate instances to play the chords that are kind of going on there. But I don't know why these wavetables are not loading, but this is just a sine, as you can see. But it is honestly just a pretty basic version of our kind of like beefy sine lead. We have just a sine wave going on with a decent amount of glide. We have mono, legato, portamento enabled. Then we're just FMing our oscillator A by another sine wave, just at 14% at the same octave. It's a great way to kind of just add some presence to your sine leads, make them a little more noticeable, because sines, as you know, are they can be kind of a weak sound and they're not good at competing with other sounds. For effects, I just started by adding some soft clipping, again, to just kind of boost it, then just a bit of a high boost with an EQ, followed by just a pretty basic delay, just something not super noticeable, but it does definitely add to it atmospherically, and then just a reverb. If you want access to the serum presets from this remake or any of my 191 plus other remakes, you can get access to all that on my Patreon at patreon.com/prodtherapy. I will throw a link up in the corner of the screen right now. You can also get all the project files from all these remakes and all the samples, all the drums, all the one-shot versions of the serum presets, all that stuff on there for a very reasonable price. It is also the best way to support me and help me keep doing these videos. And yeah, I hope this was educational and informative and interesting, and I will catch you next time. Peace.